Man, you wouldn't believe how many times I have attempted to make this video. Welcome back to another video in the series, A Game Dev's Guide to Google Sheets. This is the fourth episode of the series. Today we're going over getting started. Much to my own dismay, I have completely forgot that I have not shown you guys how to start a project in game dev. There are hundreds of steps that go into making a game, and I have completely missed the first couple that I think are integral to getting a successful project. So we're going to tackle those. And of course, as you can tell, this is a much bigger project. It has been a struggle for me to explain these concepts, and I've had to retake shots and takes of my video. I think this is now the 6th or 7th attempt. I don't remember at this point. So I'm going to try my best to get through this. Hopefully this is the attempt. The rolling counter is going to keep going for me if I mess up, though. So before we get into it, though, quick little thing. I've included a new document here, which is the GDD template. I've also included it here, and we will be going over that in this video. So with that out of the way, let's get started. Come up with an idea. The newer you are to game dev, the simpler it should be. You cannot start making a game without an idea of what the game is going to be. It can be, I want to make an RPG. I want to make a puzzle game. As simple as that. But I would say the simpler the concept is, the easier it is to execute. And as you improve your skills and develop knowledge through overcoming tasks at a level you are comfortable with, you can move forward with harder stuff. So a good first example is click the A button to gain a point. So make an auto clicker. That is, to me, the simplest game you can make. But of course, there are hundreds of auto clickers and they get infinitely complex. So you can expand that as much as you need to. We'll get more into scope creep and how that works later on. Make a game design document or a GDD that has all the necessary information for your game. See it, the template below for an example. So here it is here. We can go right into it. The GDD I have made for this video has a information page based on what a GDD is and what it's supposed to include, as well as why it's important, as well as an actual blank template that you can use that has links to all the information, as well as little descriptions of what you need to have in these certain sections. Keep in mind that you can add or remove as needed. You can adjust it as needed. This is yours to use. As always, it's a free template along with all the other stuff that I have available in the sheet. When making a GDD, you can add references to other games, movies, stories, or content that helps describe what your game is and how it works. Visual references are a great way to help convey ideas and information without needing to write too much. Now, what that means in this case, we're going to go down to these last 4 sections: branding and graphics, anything that's a visual aspect of the game. It is very, very important and I think beneficial to make sure you are including visual references to other content in the world as reference material. So just like you would go and get a commissioned art piece with an artist, sometimes they might ask you to include image references to styles and colors. You would do that here as well. All right, the next one. As with previous tutorials, make sure you make an info and testing document to work out the game mechanics, tables, specific information, and code to use with the game. The equivalent version of this in formal game development is a sandbox level. Now, this sheet does not have an info and testing because there's no code to test, nothing to show you. This is more of a strict guide. Just keep that in mind. All my other templates and guides have them. It is good practice to include those when you're doing Google Sheet game dev, but sometimes you're not going to. We can get into that later on. Once you have info and testing, GDD, and all necessary information, it is time to work on the game. Keep in mind that you will almost never get it right on the first attempt. It may take several iterations for the game to be functional or to a point where you're ready to publish it and show it off to people. prevent scope creep, which is what we mentioned in the first thing with simplicity. Make sure you set milestones of what you want to accomplish with your game and keep a strict lasso on those goals. Now, the best way to do that is to break things out in tasks and use Scrum or Kanban to track those tasks and keep your scope as minimal as possible. Now, the best way to accomplish those things is with either Trello or a Kanban or Scrum board in Google Sheets. My suggestion is always going to be Trello over Google Sheets, ironically enough. So I don't have a thing to show you in Trello, but it's a free website. Please look it up and figure out how to use it. They have tutorials and guides. It is a great resource, but I'm going to go over what it is and why it's important in the last 2 hints. All right, what is the difference between Kanban and Scrum? I'm glad you asked. Both use Agile Methodology, which is another concept. And we're going to go over that first because you need to know what Agile is before you know what Scrum and Kanban are. Agile involves breaking the project down into individual tasks and steps needed to approach certain goals. So with that in mind, Kanban is a fluid version of this that revolves around iteration and visualization. So this would be kind of breaking it out into blocks simply and kind of having complexity markers. So like green, yellow, red showing how important an item is. Now, Scrum is more structured and it revolves around timelines and phases. There's a lot of terminology that is inside of these things. You might see sprints and stand-ups in, for example. All right, I need to give myself a little breather. That's a lot. What are sprints and stand-ups? A sprint and stand-up are a phase of work. And this is still going off of this hint here because I know it's a lot. It is a phase of work that has been broken out of the game development cycle to say, I want to accomplish these tasks in this time frame. So from the 1st of July to the end of September, I want that to be a sprint cycle. And I want to complete these 20 tasks in that time. That would be Scrum. Now, one thing to keep in mind, both of these styles are derivative of each other. They work with each other. They are not mutually exclusive, and almost always you will almost use both of them at the same time. Trello is a great example. You can set Trello up to use both at the same time. So that is something important to keep in mind. And I can show those quick examples of each one again. So here in Kanban, you would have a backlog in work for review and completed. Notice there's no pressure for timing. It just shows complexity and everything is kind of blocked out nice and clean, easy to understand and reference. And you can add or remove things as needed, change stuff. You can include dependencies to other tasks. Where with Scrum, it changes a little bit. So now we have stuff broken out of the backlog, and we were saying we need to complete these tasks before the next sprint comes around. And you would see occasionally there are numbers located on each and every one of these tasks, and those are the projected sprints that they would be included in. However, they might change. So you might end up getting to sprint 4, can't complete the logo, so you make it into sprint 5's task. You run the next sprint. But you can see how this is more timeline based. It's very heavily set that we are on a deadline, we need to get it done. Now, there are other methodologies out there. There's like waterfall and some other stuff, but we're not going to really get into those. It is a messy, complex world. If you are into project management work and are trying to lead a team of people to do these projects, it's really good to study this stuff up and learn more about it because there are literally hundreds of these different methodologies that exist and function all separately with different rules. However, I think Kanban, Scrum, and Agile are the three big buzzwords that are insanely important to any developer to hear. So I think that is it for this video. I'm going to probably continue making these getting started videos when I have more information to present. This one's a lot, like I said. It took me way too many attempts to actually say all the stuff I needed to say, and there are definitely points I've forgotten about. So I will definitely do maybe a little sub-series that breaks these points out further or includes more details. I may also make a video that is strictly me developing a game from beginning to end to show you the process as a whole of a project that uses these methodologies and one that doesn't, so you can see the difference in how the work flows, because you don't always need to use all this stuff, but it is very helpful if you're new to it or getting comfortable with a certain style of work. Like, let's say you're going from Unity or Unreal Engine to a whole different programming substrate and decide, okay, I need to refocus on how I'm doing my work. But in any case, that is all I have for you today. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Comment on some information that you liked or want to hear in a further video. I would love to hear your suggestions for further videos so I can keep making this kind of content for you guys. All right, thank you for watching. Have a good one.